Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military with Summary channel. In this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 24 hours. We have lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. First we're going to talk about the situation in the Middle East, and then we will discuss the situation in Ukraine. According to information we have, during the previous 24 hours the Iranians continued attacking or making attempts to attack the US assets through the entire Middle East. The ARGC claims to have struck a US Navy combat support vessel. This information was published yesterday, but at the same time no video or images were provided to back up this claim. Later we received the report that ARGC announced that they attacked the US aircraft carrier US Abraham Lincoln with 4 ballistic missiles. But the same story, by the beginning of the 2nd of March of 2026 we still haven't received anything that can confirm this information. At the same time we received the report, unconfirmed report from pro-Western sources and from pro-Iranian sources that the US authorities took a decision, decided to move the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln as far as possible from the territory of Iran with the purpose to stay on the safe side. So the sources are saying that currently Abraham Lincoln is moving in the southeastern direction with the purpose to get as close as possible to the Indian Sea. Another important thing is the Iranians continue blockade of Strait of Hormuz. During the previous 24 hours we received lots of videos where we can see how the tankers and different facilities, objects of infrastructure were damaged and maybe even destroyed by the Iranians. In this video we can see the oil tanker Skylight is burning in the Gulf of Oman after an attack by Iran. Later we received another video about the situation. Here we can see the same tanker and here we can see the evacuation process. So most likely the tanker was completely destroyed without any chances to save it. Another important thing is that the Iranians, according to information we have, attacked several oil platforms in the Persian Gulf, which also will have huge consequences on the global market of fuel and of course of oil. Another important thing is that important updates are coming from the territory of Iran. If you remember, just yesterday the President of the United States of America stated that Ali Khamenei was assassinated as a result of the Israeli attack with aviation. And today, more precisely yesterday in the evening, we received a report that this person would be changed and has been already changed by a new leader. So Ayatollah Arafi is the acting leader, supreme leader. He is an influential Iranian Shia cleric and political figure holding key roles in Iran's religious and political structure. Furthermore, this morning lots of pro-Western sources stated that this person was also assassinated by the coalition, but later we received this picture where we can see the meeting between the highest leaders of Iran. Iran holds the second meeting of the Provisional Leadership Council, and this is a media message showing the Iranians, first of all, that the current head of the state, the current leaders of the state are in the safe place and everything is okay with them. So this is a very important media action from the Iranian side to show that something, or at least everything, is under complete control. So this is the situation. Another important thing is that the United States of America and the Israelis continue bombing and attacking military objects and objects of critical military infrastructure through the entire Iran. Lots of videos were published during the previous 24 hours. Lots of attacks. We can see problems with electricity. We can see power outages. We can see lots of attacks on ballistic infrastructure and air defense forces of the Iranians. Here we can see lots of videos that were published by the Israelis of how they were attacking different objects of ballistic infrastructure through the entire western part of Iran. Lots of launching sites were attacked, and as you can see, as a result of these attacks, the Israelis managed to achieve significant goals and significant results. At the same time, the Iranians continued bombing and attacking the states through the Middle East. Lots of explosions and lots of videos were published, as usually these days, from the state of Bahrain. The Iranians were continued attacking objects of military infrastructure and navy bases and military assets of the United States of America. Lots of explosions were recorded. Furthermore, according to information we have, for the first time since the beginning of this operation, the Iranians attacked the Saudi Arabian oil refinery. In this video, we can see that's how the consequences of Iranian drones attack the Aramco oil refinery in Ras Tanura. So this is the biggest oil refinery in the world, and obviously if this refinery was attacked and if the Iranians managed to deal significant damage to this oil refinery, obviously this will force the prices for oil to rise, and this will probably have very bad consequences for many countries in the world. So this is a very important and probably the most important information of the previous 24 hours. Another important thing is that the military forces of the United States of America started suffering first losses, but we're not talking about soldiers, we're talking about aircrafts. This morning we received lots of videos where we may see how the different planes of the United States of America were falling. In this video we can see an F-15 falling out of the sky this morning over Kuwait, and the sources are saying that this situation happened as a result of friendly fire. So here we can see the video how the plane was falling down. The pilot managed to survive. Furthermore, later we received additional videos and additional pictures, and according to these videos and these pictures, it seems that during the previous 24 hours several aircrafts of the United States of America fell down. So, and most likely there were at least 2 of them, and we have lots of pictures with pilots that managed to survive. So as you can see, first losses occurred. Furthermore, the Iranians continued attacking Israel and continued attacking different assets, military assets in this area. First of all, we're talking about Cyprus. The sources reported that the Iranians attacked Navy base of the United Kingdom. And right after this attack, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom made lots of interesting statements. First of all, they are saying that they are planning to join the coalition of the United States of America and Israel. And the most important is that Keir Starmer have asked Ukrainians to help our Gulf partners shoot down Iranian drones. So this is a very important update, because it doesn't mean that the Ukrainians will send their forces to stabilize the situation in the Middle East. Most likely we're talking about the probably Western forces or Western instructors who are currently located on the territory of Ukraine, who would be immediately redeployed from the territory of Ukraine in the direction of the Middle East, which means that the Ukraine's air defense forces will much weaken in coming days. So this is a very important situation. Obviously, if it happens, the Russians in coming days may launch another massive combined missile attack. Furthermore, we received lots of statements from German Chancellor. He also said that Germany is considering to join alliance and coalition of the United States of America and Israel to attack Iran, or at least to support these two countries in this situation. Furthermore, I would like to remind you that during the previous 24 hours, the President of the United States of America stated that most likely the war between this operation, this military operation, this Fury operation will take place more than 2 or around 4 or 5 weeks, which means that the United States of America and Israel will have to need a lot of missiles, especially air defense missiles. So which means that we are just at the beginning of this conflict, and the situation will continue worsening. From the other side, we received lots of interesting updates from Moscow. According to information we have, shares of Russian oil and gas companies are rising amid US and Israeli attacks on Iran. So as we can see, the Russians are getting a lot of money right now, and this is also a very important position and situation for Russians, because now the Russians are getting more money, much more money, to have possibilities to fund the conflict in Ukraine, which means that the conflict in Ukraine can last for more days than it was expected or than it was planned by the Western countries and Ukraine itself. Now let's discuss the situation on the ground. During the previous 24 hours in Ukraine, we received lots of very interesting updates. And first, let's talk about the Zaporizhzhia direction, where the Russians continue their offensive operation. During the previous nights, we received changes, we received additional updates. So this is the end of the 28th of February. This is the and at the beginning of the 2nd of March. According to information we have, the Russians improved their positions around the village of Mali-Sherbaki, and this information was provided by pro-Russian sources. We see that the Russians are intensifying their offensive operation towards the city of Varekhov from the west. Furthermore, the Russians improved their position significantly in the area of the village of Slavyansk. I would like to remind you that several days ago, the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation reported that Russians managed to establish complete control over the settlement, and this report was made on the 24th of February of 2026, but without even a single video that can confirm this. And just during the evening of the 1st of March, pro-Russian sources published this video where we can see how the clashes were taking place for this area. And during this video, through this video, we can see several episodes that confirm the presence of the Russian forces on the territory of Slavyansk, because the Russians raised at least one flag, at least at this point. As of now, it's very difficult to say whether the entire village is under the Russian control, but at least its eastern part under control of the armed forces of the Russian Federation. As for the northern direction, Zaporizhzhia direction, during the previous 24 hours, we haven't received anything. The Ukrainians, it seems, stopped their counter-offensive operation, and now the Ukrainians are tasked to stabilize the situation along the river of Gaichur and along the villages of Slavyansk, Vozdvizhivka and Verkhnya Tersa. During the previous 48 hours, we haven't received almost anything from the northern Zaporizhzhia direction. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the Dobropolye-Konstantinovka direction. The sources are saying that the Russians are about to finish the battle for the settlement of Grishna. Today, for the first time since the beginning of the battle for Grishna, several pro-Russian sources stated that Ukrainians were forced to fall back completely from this area, and it seems that in coming days this territory would be completely colored as the territory under complete Russian control. Furthermore, today we received a report from pro-Russian sources that as a result of decisive and fast lightning attack, the Russians managed to improve their position significantly and to answer the southern part of the settlement of Sergeyevka. As for the morning of the 2nd of March, we just have several publications, several articles that were published by pro-Russian sources, and we have the expanded gray zone. So we don't have changes, let's say, in Russian favor, but we have gray zone in this area, which means that the Russians are currently trying to dig in deeper in this area, and the Ukrainians are counter-attacking with the purpose not to allow the Russians to do this. As for the Konstantinovka direction, during the previous 48 hours, small changes were recorded. This is the end of 27th, this is the end of 28th, and this is the beginning of the 2nd of March. The Russians improved their positions in the area of this dense network of the fortifications to the east of the settlement, and the Russians improved their positions in the area of Dovga Balkan. All these updates were provided by pro-Russian sources. Of course, we are waiting for additional videos. The Russians continued bombing and attacking this territory with aviation. Lots of explosions were recorded in the southern part of the city of Konstantinovka, but despite the destruction, despite these attacks, the Ukrainians are still holding their lines. As for the Slavyansk direction, during the previous 24 hours, additional changes on the ground were recorded in the area of the village of Fedorovka Druga. Pro-Ukrainian sources are saying that the Russians, as a result of offensive operation, continued infiltration further in the direction of the southern part of the settlement, and basically when talking about the village of Fedorovka, the entire village is under complete Russian control. There is just one block that still remains under the control of the armed forces of Ukraine. We're talking about these farms. And the Russians, as you can see, are attacking the positions of the armed forces of Ukraine from the north in the southern direction. As for the northern directions, during the previous 12 hours, we received a very interesting report. According to the Group of Forces North and according to the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, the Russians managed to improve their positions significantly on the territory of the settlement of Krugle, which is located in the most northeastern parts of the region. So the Russians improved their positions and basically captured the settlement, and the Russians are keeping advancing further in the western and the southern directions. Furthermore, during the previous nights, the Ukrainians carried out a massive missile and drone attack in the southern direction of the Russian Federation, and lots of maps were published through the night, so overnight. So this is the map that was published somewhere at the end of the 1st of March, and here we can see lots of lines, and most of them were heading towards the southern regions of Russia. And the sources stated that during this period of time, during the evening and late 1st of March of 2026, the Ukrainians Ukrainians used more than 110 drones. Later, we received additional updates, additional information, and we have this picture where we can see that Ukrainians used around 120 drones and around 15 Navy drones that were attacking the city of Novorossiysk. And during the previous night, we received lots of videos from the city of Novorossiysk. The sources are saying that the Ukrainians managed to damage several facilities, several oil infrastructural objects. And I would like to remind you that several days ago, the US authorities asked or demanded Ukraine not to attack Novorossiysk because there are US investments in this area. The Russians reported that they were repelling this attack during the night. For example, between 8 and 11 p.m., the Russians brought down 57 drones of the armored forces of Ukraine, and overnight the Russians destroyed additional 172 drones. So as you can see, that was one of the biggest attacks carried out by the Ukrainians in the southern direction, which means that in coming days the Russians may strike back Ukraine and its energy infrastructure with missiles and drones. And due to the fact that currently the Western countries and the coalition of the United States, America and Israel are transferring everything they have, all air defense missiles, in the direction of the Middle East, we believe that Ukraine will suffer huge problems with this. And that's it for the short video. The Military with Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.